Wait, we don't have a coach.
There is no future.
Matt, Matt, does anyone else not have a coach?
No.
Oh no, we don't have a coach, Matt.
The good thing is there's tons of coaches out there, Justin.
No, it's March. We don't have a coach.
But Urban Meyer's
Oh.
just sitting on his yacht. Maybe he's getting the itch again. Hello, and welcome to Updog Sports Talk, official NASCAR temporary sponsors on the ARCA series. We are on the back of a NASCAR, baby.
Yeah.
That you heard is from Justin McGovern, as always. What's up, dude?
Hey, we are. I mean, we are thrilled to be on a NASCAR. If you have not been following along on our social medias, make sure you are. We'll be hyping this up a little bit more tomorrow as well. But that is not why you're here tonight. As much as we really want to talk about this, we are here to continue our college football season review series. We are a podcast that prides in talking about everyone in college football. So we have covered the SEC, the Big Ten, the Independents, the Pac-12, the Big 12, and the ACC. And now we are on to what really sets us apart from any other podcast you listen to. We are ready to cover the American, the Sun Belt, and maction in the exact same way.
Yeah. And if you're new to the channel, we were founded in COVID, and we got sick and tired of bigger networks focusing solely on the LeBron Jameses, the LA Lakers, the LA Dodgers, the Tom Brady's back then, just the top players and teams in each league. We want to represent everybody, so we try to spend as close to an equal amount of time on everybody as we can. Hence why we're doing all these grades, so we can spend the same amount of time on every team. So yeah, we are here today to talk football. Justin, what conference are we starting off with?
Maction. We are very much huge Maction enjoyers here on this program, so we have been looking forward to this. Forgive us for going long because we are already going pretty long, and we know more about the MAC than most shows do, so good luck. The Akron Zips, we opened up with them. Akron, they have a good coach in place, and just they went 4-8 again. This is one of the few programs in the conference that invest, more heavily into basketball, which, by the way, good news for them. Number one seed in the MAC tournament, and only one conference loss. Definitely the favorite to make the NCAA tournament there. So good news, Akron fans. Basketball's going well. But yeah, they invest more heavily in basketball, kind of leaving football in the back burner almost as a result. They went 4-8. Is this just the ceiling for Akron football? Is 4-8 it?
Probably, but I give them a C- because if you actually look at their early season, they played at Ohio State, at Rutgers, at South Carolina, and then they had to face Ohio and Bowling Green, and Western Michigan was kind of near the top of the conference as well. So they had a rough stretch of it. So I'm not going to penalize them too much for facing too many great teams. But C-, I mean, I can't give them better than that.
Yeah. I mean, you took my exact thoughts. I gave them a C- as well. Just, would have liked to see them break through the bowl game, but I mean, what do you want to see them do? It's just tough schedules. they have less football resources than a lot of other programs in the MAC, and yeah, they just couldn't get it done. Next, we look at the Ball State Cardinals. We didn't know what to expect the Ball State entering the year, and they ended up going 3-9. How would you grade their season?
D minus. I can't decide if their best win was Northern Illinois in their in the midst of their losing streak or Missouri State, because Kent State is not a solid win. You might as well have just had a bye week that week. But I'm thinking Missouri State to start the season may have been their best win.
No, I'm going to go with Northern Illinois. That one was that was their highlight for sure. I gave them a D just simply because of that win. It's a rivalry game, and Ball State had such a hard time with, like, not only were they already struggling, but they also struggled to win one-score games a lot of the time. So, the fact that Northern Illinois game was finally the game where they got it done had to feel so good. And when they look back on the season, that's their one moment where they can go, hey, we did beat the Huskies. We took that game. That was huge for us.
Yeah.
But, obviously got to be, coach got fired. Yeah, tough go of it, but I like who they brought in. So it'll be very interesting to see what the future holds for the Ball State Cardinals. Now we get to our alma mater, the Bowling Green Falcons, who are 7-6. I'm going to change my Bowling Green hat. So Matt, take it away.
I give them a B plus. The 7-6 record didn't do them justice. They lost a one-score game to Penn State, in which they probably actually could have won that game. They lost a one-score game the next week at Texas A&M, which, again, they probably could have won that game. But they ended the year pretty, and then randomly lost to Old Dominion and fell to Northern Illinois in the midst of their hot streak. So I give them a B plus because of their late October, early November run to keep them in the thick of things. And they had a solid offense.
Yeah, I gave them a B. There was definitely, finishing winning record was good. Beat Toledo. That was very important. But the reason why I couldn't go higher was, kind of what you mentioned with the one-score games. Like, it just kind of felt like they left a lot of meat on the bone with some of these games. Just like ill-timed penalties, red zone execution, that kind of stuff kind of kept them from being able to accomplish more than they already did. So, B was very solid. At the very least, in the future, well, we don't have a coach.
There is no future.
Matt, does anyone else not have a coach?
No.
Oh, no. We don't have a coach, Matt.
The good thing is there's tons of coaches out there, Justin.
No, it's March. We don't have a coach.
But Urban Meyer's just sitting on his yacht. Maybe he's getting the itch again. Yeah, the coach just up and left to go to the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, we don't have a coach.
To move on past depression, the Buffalo Bulls had an amazing season this year. They went 9-4. They finished the season on a 5-game win streak. And then they did have a little bump in the road near the middle. Justin, what do you give them?
Oh, I gave him an A. I mean, this was an incredible effort. So like Buffalo is actually by one source of hope here for Bowling Green because they ended up with a coach opening late in the cycle, and Pete Lembo came in late. So at least I thought Pete Lembo came in late. I did look it up. He got hired on January 21st.
Not this late.
Oh, not
I
this
gave
late.
him
But anyways, he came in late and made this team extremely solid right away.
I gave him an A minus. Uh if they would have just beat Western Michigan, probably could have moved it to an A. But for a MAC team going 9-4, putting yourself in position late in the season and beating Liberty in a bowl game, solid year.
Yeah. Obviously they have a few losses here and there, but it's very clear that player development is something that Pete Lembo is really good at. This is not his first stint in the MAC. He was at Ball State, probably roughly a decade back, had very solid results with them as well. He's building something here. Yeah. And we definitely have to talk about the Buffalo Bulls as one of the top programs in this conference moving forward.
Yes.
Next, we look at the Central Michigan Chippewas. With Jim McElwain, they still had the cloud of the fact that no one announced any results of the Connor Stallions on the sideline investigation. It was like over a year later, they never announced anything. I think they ultimately landed on something, but they went 4-8. Jim McElwain got fired. How would you grade your season?
I give them a D, maybe a D plus. They did have a relatively solid win against San Diego State, but all their wins in FBS contention were one-score wins. They snuck a Western Michigan win at the end of the year, but if the wind blew a little harder in those games, they probably would have lost.
Yeah. I mean, I give him a D as well. It doesn't end up a D minus because at the very least they did beat Western Michigan, which their fans are happy about. That was their main highlight of the year. And for the most part, they're moving on now. The less said about the McElwain era, especially at the end, probably the better.
Well, moving to the other side of the state. Maybe not really the other side, just like probably a couple hours east, but
no, a couple hours south.
Yeah, that's right. The Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles.
Okay, I blanked there for a second.
They still have missed an opportunity by not going with emus.
Oh, I know. They could have gone a bunch of different routes being there in Michigan, but they had a good start to the year. Then they just fell off. So I give them a D because they just couldn't win after mid-October.
Yeah. Obviously their head coach, Chris Creighton, is a known overachiever. Eastern Michigan used to be their Kent State and Akron at the bottom of this conference all the time. And at the very least, he's gotten them up above that. But honestly, this year was kind of one of the rare times where I was disappointed in one of his teams. They had that strong start. It was like, this team might compete for the MAC. Well, I wasn't even thinking about the bowl game. I was just thinking, they could compete for the MAC, and then they never won again. Ended up missing out on the bowl game in the end. That was very disappointing. I give him a C minus for it.
Speaking of teams that never won again, the Kent State Golden Flashes. I give them an F, and I don't even know how many minuses I put on there. I just held down the the key until it just felt appropriate. Winless. They suck. Bleak times in northeastern Ohio.
Not only did they go winless, they may have been the worst FBS team of all time. I mean, they were not close in almost all of their losses. They lost to a St. Francis team that currently doesn't even have a football conference. And not only that, St. Francis, the week before beating Kent State, St. Francis lost to Dayton, a team in the state that doesn't even offer scholarships for football. That team could not beat Dayton, but they beat Kent State the following week. I mean, we saw Bill Connolly's number like 764 rankings where he ranks every single college program in every division on computer rankings, and Kent State was ranked below like D3 programs. They were so bad.
Yeah.
We can move on now just to quit punching the bag here, but it was astounding to see what happened here because this may have been the worst FBS team of all time. Next, we look at the Miami Redhawks. Enters the season with a ton of promise. A lot of people wondered maybe if with some upset wins, maybe they could crash the college ball playoff. Almost certainly we're looking like a team could win the MAC. And then the season kind of started and they struggled a little bit. Opened 0-3, and we're staring at 0-4 in the face against UMass before coming back and pulling off the win there. And then from that point, they kind of took off and went back to doing their thing. They went 9-5. How would you grade your season?
I give them a what I put B+. I give I give them a B+ because they faced Northwestern, and say what you want about Northwestern, they are a Big Ten team. They didn't have a facility. You had to play in an open air stadium with nothing blocking lake effect wind, with which Northwestern had been practicing for all off season. Then you play Cincinnati, your arch rival, and Cincinnati just bested them this year. And then you lose to Notre Dame. Probably should not have had as close of a game against UMass, and then lost to a solid Toledo team, and then pretty much won out until they got absolutely blown out by Ohio in the conference championship. So give them a B+. Their expectations were really high. It actually looked like they could have gone, maybe not Cincinnati or Notre Dame, definitely not Notre Dame, but maybe not Cincinnati. But it looked like they probably could have beaten everybody else.
Yeah, I gave them a B+ as well. Didn't win the MAC in the year they were expected to, so that was slightly disappointing. Probably should have come out with that Northwestern win, especially how bad Northwestern ended up beating. But in the end, they still did solid. It was a good year. Won their bowl game, so that was good as well. Very solid B+. Next, we look at the Northern Illinois Huskies. This is a wild team because they found themselves in a lot of one-score games. Obviously, there's the famous headline, they upset Notre Dame. But then, this team the rest of the year was very bizarre. Matt, I'll let you give your grade, and then I can kind of mention a little bit about it.
I give them a C+. I'm going to change that to a B-. You beat Notre Dame. You had a few one-score games, but you had a solid end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, they beat Notre Dame, and it really felt like, as a result, like they were capable of more. And they really were. Like, they at one point in the year, I think they were 5-5, even though they had had a better success rate than all of their opponents. Like, they let a lot of games they probably should have had slip away a little bit. My stat was probably not correct because I think Miami was the only team that like thoroughly beat them. And that was the 5th loss, so maybe it was like 4-4. But they outgained Buffalo, lost that game in overtime. We're moving up and down the field. The NC State couldn't finish drives, lost that one. Let the Ball State game slip away at the last moment. Obviously, we talked about that one earlier, but like they just had these frustrating losses that kind of got away from them a little bit. I still give them B plus because that win was huge. Won their bowl games, so that was a great moment as well. But it could have been more. They really could have accomplished more.
Yeah.
Next, we look at the Ohio Bobcats. This team had the amazing season.
Yep.
It didn't really start out that way either. Like it wasn't obvious early on, but then they got hot and they won the MAC for the first time since 1968.
Yeah. I give them an A plus. Their losses were to Syracuse, Kentucky, and Miami. And the Miami one, they got revenge a few weeks later in the conference championship game. So kudos to Ohio. You had one hell of a year.
Yeah. What a season for the Bobcats. I mean, I can't say any better myself. I gave them an A plus as well. When you break that long of a streak, you deserve the A plus. Well done, Bobcats. And then to top it all off, they finished the season. They wrapped it up in the bowl game by beating Conference USA champion Jacksonville State. So, great effort there. Their head coach shockingly left immediately after the MAC championship to Charlotte, but the offensive coordinator kept everyone around. So, just for that alone, he earned the job. So he'll be keeping this thing going. Don't expect the Bobcats to fall off. All right. Next, we look at the Toledo Rockets. They ended up going 8-5. Was 2024 a bit of a disappointment for Toledo?
Maybe a little bit. I give them a C plus. They did lose to Buffalo, their arch rival, Bowling Green, Ohio, and then randomly took a loss to Akron. What's funny about the MAC website is they don't have it updated on what they did against Pitt, even though they beat Pitt. So it's really funny that they didn't update that. Actually, since they beat Pitt, I may move that to a B plus or a B minus.
There you go. Okay, so as you talked there, you got your grade up to mine. I gave them a B minus. Obviously there's those frustrating moments. Losing the Battle of I-75 never feels good, especially when you point a rocket at the other campus. The loss to Akron was just one of those very late November games where just nothing goes your way. I mean, nothing at all went Toledo's way in that game. That game was just problem after problem after problem. It just looked like the most miserable experience out there. And then, they turned it around with the high of that bowl win over Pitt, that wild, fun bowl win, which is what ultimately boosted my grade. Winning that one the way they did was a ton of fun. Gathered a lot of headlines because a lot of people were watching these bowl games. So I think, that was a great positive way to end it for Toledo. The other time they caught headlines was when they blasted Mississippi State in Starkville. That was another point that, Mississippi State was a bad team, but it was a point that looked good. So there's some good moments, but just a few too many down moments as well. Finally, we wrap this up with the Western Michigan Broncos. Second-year head coach, kind of just looking to build some things a little bit. There weren't really any expectations for them, but they end up 6-7.
Yeah, I gave them a C plus. They started off the year undefeated in MAC play, and then, other than the Eastern Michigan game at the end of the year, lost out.
Yeah, it was as soon as the clock turned to November, the month of action, it kind of felt like this team kind of dropped off a little bit. That was kind of disappointing to see for them. So I would have preferred that to finish better, but in the end, I like the steps they made. Good steps in the right direction. So I give them a B. It was a positive season. With an eye on moving forward and continuing to improve. By the way, their account, their official account is like one of those that's just like a reminder that each team official account is like a different personality. Their account just does play-by-play updates, just no commentary on what's going on, just straight up play-by-play updates for each game, and it just amuses me.
Well, that is the show today. As a reminder, we will be on a NASCAR this weekend. On Friday, 3/7 at 8 p.m. on FS1. Our logo will be on either the B or the C pillar for Brayton Laster's 06 ARCA Menards Series race car. You can watch him win because we're going to be on the car and we're winners. So we're super excited about that. We won a contest, didn't have to pay anything. That was fantastic. So Brayton, thank you so much for allowing us to win that contest and put us on the side of your car or back. So thanks, Brayton.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty incredible moment for the show. Like we are a small show based out of Ohio, and our logo is going to be on a ARCA Series car all the way in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. So a whole new market. Brayton, if you're watching, if you can maybe just point to us, if you want to be as kind to say something about us, that'd be great. We do understand how NASCAR works, so you do have to give a shout out to the paid sponsors. But if you want to give a shout out to the unpaid sponsors, well.
Yeah, you gotta shout out your paid sponsors before you shout out us freeloaders.
Yeah.
This is the definition of along for the ride.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the fact that his Twitter handle is the one pizza man, fantastic.
Amazing.
Wouldn't have wanted to be on anybody else's car. So thanks, Brayden, for allowing us to be on your car this weekend. If you do not follow us at Updog Sports Talk on every social media, we're verified now. So look for the green or blue check mark. And except for TikTok, it's super complicated. It's just at Updog Sports Talk. Nothing else to it. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. We love hearing from people looking to grow this channel. If we're on the back of the NASCAR, we have high expectations. So been a great week for us. We're going to ride that high all the way through Friday, and see you guys next week.
See you next week. Hopefully Bowling Green has a coach by then.
Hopefully. We'll see. Probably not. See you guys.
Still no coach.